They're off.
I'm doing it. Further Faster, the best independently outdoor owned news store in the known universe. You do it then.
Further Faster, the best independently owned outdoor store in the known universe. Whether you are heading out on climbing, paddling, tramping, or running adventures, look no farther than Further Faster for all your gear and expertise needs over the... damn it!
Winter. Head
Okay,
over
Ellie, you
to...
go.
Shall I just finish the end of it?
Yeah.
Look no farther than Further Faster for all your gear and expertise needs over the winter. Head over to 57A Buchan Street, Sydenham, or Tautahi, Christchurch, or hit them up at furtherfaster.co.nz. And that is how you do it, guys.
I am impressed. I'm sorry. I don't even know why we tried.
Here for the woman's read.
It goes something like further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to further, faster now.
Oh, further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to further, faster now.
Dirt Church Radio.
Episode 340 of Dirt Church Radio. I'm Matt Rayment.
I'm Ellie Pottinger.
And I'm Andrew McDowell.
Thank God you didn't hear any of that. That was punishing.
I reckon
But
we
we're
should
here.
just leave the tea in. Leave the tea in.
That's definitely a special tier, paid tier for that.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%. But look, buddies, it's nice to see you. We're back in the virtual sphere, and it is Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc week.
Hey.
How are we feeling about this?
You know what? There's so many people over there, and we've got two of our best that are in with a good chance. So it's exciting.
I was sad to see Caitlin has withdrawn
Yeah.
from Triple C, so that is a shame.
Well, did you see the hamstring bone malfunction in
no, I
Western
haven't
States?
actually. Oh,
Yeah, no,
oh.
that's, I mean,
Oh.
didn't she like have a large hole in the hamstring that she did at Western State mid-run and then finished with that? So
Oh, okay. I didn't realise it was that bad.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, look, it's a hell of a lineup of especially the main event, the UTMB one. I told Bradley at Trail Running NZ that I would steal all his hard work and that he had to be cool with it, but that I would say that I stole his just to get all the names. Unless you guys had like already done all this work, but I hadn't.
why don't we just actually say, go to trailrunning.co.nz or Trail Running NZ or whatever Bramley's little thing is.
Yeah, we've done great. Yeah, read all about it. It's excellent.
No, he is excellent and he puts out excellent things. So, go check out that, all the stats and people. But I'm Team Croft. And
Should we
Team
do a
Jones.
quick shout out to, what have you got, Ellie?
This is what I just looked at the UTMB World Series thing, and they do like a little preview of the top 5 ranked for each race, and that's what I've been looking at. That's pretty much it. Plus Lucy, like Lucy's there, so that's exciting. I want to see how she goes. But
Can we make her our on the ground correspondent?
that'd be good, hey?
I imagine she's
Give us
quite busy.
Give us some live updates, Lucy, while you're out there.
Can I just give a quick Kiwi shout out to all of the Kiwi runners? And I'm going to do it real fast, but I just wish them all the best. Dan Jones, George Murray, Ruth Croft, Katie Wright, who is now ours, Benji Patterson, Matthew Gummer, Adam Grocott, James Bland. That's again, isn't it? Bevan Littler, Matt Turo, Malcolm Jackson, Ian Morgan, Connor Fitzgerald, Laura Matthews, Fabiano Petroni, all doing the 174, it says, kilometre UTMB. I think I got 171 when I did it. So is it getting longer? Maybe.
Is it 10
And
years
they've had to do
since I think?
course changes, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's a little longer now.
And I just say I've been coaching Laura. She's been training up a storm, so I'm excited to see how she goes.
Oh, that's cool. You're going to have a lot of names on your app, I imagine, Ellie.
Yeah. And, one thing that surprised me is the vert that they can get in Nelson. There is some elevation there.
Yeah. I mean, talk to old Louis Schindler, mate. He's he's
10,000K weekends. Yeah. Absolutely.
10,000K weekends.
Or 10,000K, sorry, 10K
We know what
weekends.
you mean, mate. It's fine. Yeah. And speaking of him, so we've got Louis and Scotty Hawker, William Bilby, Steve Bushby, Ethan Ball, Hamish Jenkin, all doing the 57K, the OCC.
Cool.
The CCC, Juliet Sewell, Daniel Dennison, Leonard Terry, Wayne Mickindo, Luca Melissa. Oh, is Luca doing it? He lives on my road. Fergus Scott and Natasha Buckley. And doing the little ones. Jessie Speedy, which is, as we've said before, is the best name ever for a fast runner, is doing the 15K, and Ben Cameron doing the TDS. Only one Kiwi doing the TDS, which is ridiculously hard. So, man, that is so many more people than we used to have from New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think I had
capita.
7. Yeah, per capita for sure. I think there were 7 running it across the board in 2019 and 2018. So the numbers from Kiwis are through the roof. So exciting.
We've also got Naseby.
Oh, Naseby, the double Ks fighting each other. Two good friends in this one. So I'm getting the popcorn out. It's going to be great. Kanoko Izumi, of course, who I managed to catch the other week, and Riverhead Forest. She was doing something ridiculous, like a 12-hour training run, just loops of the forest. And she's not on Strava, so she is just doing it for no kudos whatsoever. So that's why I'll tell you that she's doing it. And Kieran Phillip, who lives down in Cromwell, and I have stayed with heaps of times for Northburn. Those two, I reckon it's going to be close. And of course, Glenn Sartz. So, I'm excited about that as well.
One other thing, just wanted to draw everyone's attention to Josh Common, who was in episode 46, West Coast runner, 800-metre specialist. He was on the way, wasn't he? And then tragically, leukemia, and had got it twice, and then had stem cell transplant, and then host versus, I can't remember what it's called, but had an allergic reaction to that. And fantastic human being, wrote a beautiful book called The Wind at My Back. It was on episode 46 of Dirt Church Radio. Ruth Croft, hashtag, you put Ruth Croft Post of the Year, highlighting what an inspiration Josh was, because they used to run together all the time in the West Coast, and he just completed the 800 metres at the Transplant Games in Germany. What a legend that man is. And I would suggest going back into the archives and listening to that episode, because it is one of the most inspirational we've ever had.
Was that 46, did you say?
Episode 46, yeah.
Cool.
All them years ago. Right, on the pod this week, we speak to Sean Conway. You like a good beard, eh? We do. We like a good beard. This man has, not to be reductive, but he's got a good beard. It's one of the first things you notice about him. Born in Zimbabwe, North Wales-based endurance adventurer whose life has been one long refusal to do things by half. Sean's palmarès read like a, you're a bit drunk and you dare someone to do something really, cycling around the world, swimming the length of Great Britain, running across it, then becoming the first person to complete a length of Britain triathlon. He's broken the world record for the most Ironman triathlons completed in consecutive days, and carved out a niche as one of the greatest eccentrics of adventure sport, whether he's towing logs up mountains, riding penny farthings for charity. He ran the London Marathon in a Big Ben suit for the Scouts.
Huh.
Not
I
sure.
think I remember that.
Yeah. Sean's mission has always been the same: inspire others to dream bigger, be braver, and live a little wilder. And Ali and I caught up with him on it was very hot where he was, very cold where we were, and what a fantastic conversation. But we better get on with this first.
It's the greatest run ever. It's the greatest run ever.
Greatest Run Ever, which is brought to you by Squad Run. Give their 4-week special coaching trial a go. You can find the link on the website, which is dirtchurchradio.com. This is the part of the show where we ask you to write into us and tell us your greatest run ever. It doesn't have to be a race or a mountain summit. It might just be a run around the block, something that's sung to you some reason. Send it in to us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. And this week is Jamie Calder writing in again for a repeat greatest run ever. Ran with Jamie at Wituka after I hit my head going up from Makata Peak up to Salvation. Total legend, this man. He says, "Hi, cool people. Hope you're all well. I sent through my greatest run ever last year. Got old-fashioned, self-indulgent diatribe about finally finishing the Tarawera Miler, but that run has been paled in comparison to the run I did in November last year. In 2023, I completed the Trentham Harriers Remataka Trail and Walk Half Marathon, and it was a lot of fun, so I planned on doing it again in 2024. Before I signed up, though, I asked my son, who was 8 years old at the time, if he wanted to do the 5K with me as a dad and lad adventure. No pressure if he didn't. I'd do the half marathon again. He doesn't run as a sport, but he plays football, touch, floorball, basketball, etc. What's floorball, you know?
I was just about to ask the same thing.
I've got no idea.
It's nestled in there amongst
gonna
the
look it up
football,
while you
the
keep going.
basketball,
Me too.
touch. He told me that he wasn't sure he would get back to me. He wasn't sure and he would get back to me, but in the tradition of young lads, he didn't, so I signed us both up. It was about 5 minutes later I realised my old man brain had stuffed up the run to 7k, not 5k, and the furthest he'd ran in one go before that was 2k. Cue the conversation with the lad and me breaking it to him that I'd signed us up and going further than planned, but he's up for the challenge and he said he'd do it. I told him we were going to walk the course a couple of weeks before so that he would have an idea of what he was in for, because time and reconnaissance is seldom wasted. We completed the walk and he reckoned he'd be sweet as, so that was that until race day. Come race day, even I acknowledged it was bloody chilly, and I'm chunky, the lad is not. He's one of those kids where getting shorts that fit his leg length are generally baggy around the midsection, but one of the volunteers, who was also the sports coordinator at his school, helped warm him up by wrapping him in a spare hoodie as we waited to get into it. We'd talked about the plan for the day and he understood it. Don't start too quickly, sip water from time to time, and we can walk if we need to and have fun. The start was pretty sweet, the lad quickly warmed up, there were smiles and it was fun just to be there with him. I let him know when we hit the first kilometre what time it was, letting him know that it was really good, not too fast. We got to 1.5k and he asked if we could walk a bit, and that's when I channeled my inner Arnie portraying the 80s hero John Matrix from the classic movie Commando in the scene where he's dangling Sully over a large drop and Sully reminded him that he would kill him last. Arnie's response, and also mine, I lied. I didn't drop the lad off a sheer drop, but the look he shot me made me think that's what it felt like for him. I told him no walking, but we would just control our run, jog pace, and keep the momentum going. That's the most exceptional 80s movie reference we've ever had on Greatest Run Ever. When we got to the 2k mark, I let him know that we were 9 seconds faster than kilometre 1, and the smile he gave me was awesome and he perked up a bit. We were pretty consistent with our pace, marginally getting faster. Kilometre 3 was 6 seconds faster than kilometre 2, and he liked that. We hit the turnaround point and I let him know that the hard part was about to begin and that we didn't just have to keep getting faster, but kilometre 4 was 8 seconds faster than the last. Kilometre 5 was 14 seconds faster than kilometre 4, and kilometre 6, 15 seconds faster than kilometre 5. I was really impressed with how the lad was going. His face was flushed. He was running in a pair of Jordans. He was remembering to sip water. Nearing the end of the last kilometre, I let the lad know that we were within 100 metres from the finish line, and he started to stride it out, determined to have a strong finish, so I popped in front of him to try and make sure he didn't go too hard. With about 40 metres to go, I looked around and the lad had a pained look on his face and one hand was on his chest. I asked him what was wrong, internally feeling like the worst parent ever and thinking I'd pushed him too hard. He managed to gasp out that he couldn't breathe. I walked him over to the right side of the trail, told him everything was okay, and to do some combat breathing. I also congratulated him on hitting the wall for the first time and welcomed him to running. From where we were, we could just make out the finish line. I said that when he was ready, we'd get back into it. Refreshed after about 30-second pause, he was back into it at speed and he crossed the finish line at a sprint. Woo. Job done. Both dad and lad having chip times of 47.16. I asked if there was a smile in him for me, but I think if he could speak, he would have chosen to use some adult words he's not allowed to use, but I got a high five out of him and then onto his first trail run medal. After that is a warm ginger beer and donut time, both of which got a happy face from the lad as he started to realise how awesome a job he did. Getting to share this event with one of my kids was awesome. I got to see him go through a whole range of emotions, put his body through more sustained stress than it had before, stop when his body told him to, and power through when he was ready. All with no training. He might never run with me again, but I'll have this memory forever, and that makes it my greatest run ever. Cheers, Jamie. Excellent.
I love how you said warm ginger beer. Nobody wants a warm ginger beer. Warm gear and donut time. That's good. Ellie, floorball?
Floorball, yes. So it looks like indoor hockey, but it's like, you know, when you played it at school and it's got the little gaps in the end of the stick and it's got the gaps in the plastic ball, so the little balls with holes in, you know, like the aerated kind of ones.
Ah, yes, yeah.
And so it looks like it's, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I want to play floorball again. That looked so fun. Really fast, light, you wouldn't get hurt, just run fast and hit the ball. Maybe some tackles.
Apparently it came from a game called Bandy, which looks just like ice hockey, except it's on a giant, massive, like a lake rather than a little thing. And that was apparently Bandy came from England in 1882. There you go. You have now all learnt about a new sport. Or
Tell you what you also learned, but maybe Sean Conway will set a record at it. He will bandy around the United Kingdom. But
Excellent.
please
Well done, Matt.
send in your greatest run ever. We are officially out. So it is on you, the public. We've been on a nearly 7-year stretch of having a greatest run every episode. So please send them in. If you've been thinking about it, do it. It is the time.
I know some people who have said that they're going to send one
it's
in.
the
so
worst.
Tell us names, Andrew.
Name and shame.
Call them out.
Next week, it's names.
All right, next week it's names.
Right, let's get on with our conversation with the one and only Sean Conway. We're beyond stoked to have the incredible Sean Conway on Dirt Church Radio. Sean, how you doing?
Good morning. It's evening here in France, but I guess it's morning over there. How are you doing from the future?
Yeah, we're shivering in our boots, thanks. But I understand it's close to 30 degrees where you are. Where in France are you?
We're on the Med down near Marseille. So yeah, just came down a couple of weeks. Bit of training in the heat, bit of hills, bit of family time as well. I was lucky enough to go off. It was a 2-hour drive from here. Was Mont Ventoux, which is very famous cycling, very famous Tour de France climb. And I've never done it before. So when we drove past it on the way down, I was like, right, one morning I'm going to get up. I got up at 3:55. Blasted it up, cycled up and down and back just in time for sort of getting the kids to the beach. So yeah, it was great ride. So just enjoying the heat, to be honest, because I love Wales where I live now, but it does rain a lot. So it's just nice to have a little slight change of scenery right now.
And did Mont Ventoux live up to the hype?
It was amazing. My one regret is I just did it too early, so I sort of had the mountain to myself, which is kind of nice. But when I was coming down, there must have been 500 people going up, and this is on a random like Thursday or something. Just people just go up all the time. And if I'd waited maybe an hour, I just would have been in the camaraderie of a whole lot of people, because by that time, half the riders had support vehicles or family members driving along and waving and cheering. And it was a much better, I think it would have been more fun rather than me just on my own at 6 a.m. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. Yeah.
I can imagine with a climb like that there wouldn't actually be that much chat when you're going up though.
Well, I'm a monkey and a terrier, so the terrier in me, if I had been in the group, I would have just tried to attack the next person in front of me every single time, and I'm not really a climber. I'm a bit too heavy. I've got for my endurance, I need a bit of weight on me pretty much, and a bit more power. So my power to weight ratio is often a little bit lower, which makes me rubbish on climbs. And that often really actually surprises people. People just expect, because I've done all the mileage I've done, for me to be like really good on the hills. But I'm just too heavy. I'm 72 kgs and I'm only 5'8". I told my wife I'm probably only 5'7". I've never been that good on the hills, and all the records I've done, like when I've cycled around the world and I got the across Europe cycle record, and even the runs I've done, I've tended to choose. I mean, you have to choose flatter routes, otherwise the record's unachievable, right? So I would have done a lot of attacking early on Mont Ventoux had I been with all the crowds, and then by the end I think everyone would have overtaken me, because that's just my nature, really. But it was great.
Well, you kind of alluded to some things already, but I want to go through some of what you've got as your list of achievements, and I didn't even put them all down. But 105 full iron distance triathlons, swimming the length of Britain, cycling around the world. And at that point I went, this is ridiculous. And then I had to keep going. Across Europe, cycling world record, 4,200 mile continuous triathlon, running the length of Britain, cycling the length of Britain, lap of Wales triathlon. And I thought this one won the cute factor, cycling from Sean to Conway. That's pretty cute. the 496 challenge, sailing Britain world record, kayaking the Thames, walking to London for less than the train. That was another pretty cool one. And the cheese rolling. Like, that's a list. Like, where do you dream this stuff up, Sean?
Oh, that the ideas is not my issue, actually. Most people who do something big, it's the worst question they could get asked. Like, oh, what next? You know, it's the classic thing. You know, you've just climbed Everest and you get down and people go, oh, what next? And everyone hates that question. I love it because honestly, I don't think I've done one big, long challenge where I've not even started thinking about the next one halfway through the one I'm currently on. Why? People ask, oh, well, why, Sean? I just have to chase difficult things, you know. And it wasn't always that way. I didn't do that really in my 20s, not at school, not in my teens, not throughout my 20s. And it was the thing that really was the sort of the essential key to just me living a better life, me being healthier, me being happier, me sleeping better, me eating better, me spending more time outside, me less time on screens, less scrolling. Like, if I have a big scary thing to chase, everything else in life is just better. I'm a better human. I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. Everything, right? So I'm glad I worked that out. I mean, it took me a while because I only really started sports when I was 30. So pretty much from, how old was I? 14. I was a working photographer. So I did photography at school. I was the school's photographer. I used to, you know, every Saturday I'd photograph all the kids at their sports matches and then hustle the pictures around the dinner table or the lunch table for 50p a picture, you know. So I was a photographer all the way through till I was 30. Mainly I was a school portrait photographer. You must have that as well. Yeah. It's sort of dying out a little bit now, but, you know, I buy those pictures of my kids every year, you know, sitting in front of the mottled background. Yes, and that's what I did. So I did no sport until I was 30. And then I was just miserable, you know, for the last, probably from 27, 28, 29, 30, those sort of 3-4 years, I just felt like off. And I couldn't pinpoint it. Like my sleep was bad, my skin was bad. I just had no drive. And then I turned 30 and I was just like, oh, I'm so old. You know, every 29-year-old, when they dread turning 30, thinking, you know, they're ancient, but actually, you know, you're still super young, right? I remember turning 30 thinking, like, just something needs to change. So I decided to sell the photography business and then try and just do hard things for no other reason than this sort of overall idea of me trying to travel around the world. But I didn't have any money to, so I thought, well, if I break some sort of world record that has a travel element to it, I might get sponsorship, basically. And that was my thinking. So, and when I did that big first scary, hard, difficult thing, I suddenly realized all the benefits from it. So it then just became an obsession, I think. Probably obsession is quite a good word for that, because I just became relentless and obsessed with trying to do things that are, for me personally, had probably a 90% chance of failure, 80 to 90% chance of failure. And then that, for me, makes me get excited. All the things where I've tried, where I thought, oh, I can do this, I usually DNF because I don't train enough. I take my foot off the gas. I get a bit cocky, a bit arrogant, and then actually I just injure myself because I'm possibly didn't do all the strength and conditioning, or didn't take it seriously enough, or took my eye off the ball. So it's just an obsession now for me to try and do difficult for me things, and they don't always have to be longer and longer and longer and further. But if they're difficult for me, that's first tick in the box of reasons to do it.
I guess that difficult for you, that does that bar continue to raise? Is it a linear thing? Because you could say, like, okay, cool, it's like any obsession, for good or for ill. You do this one little thing, suddenly you've done a triathlon around Wales, and I don't know, a 100-mile ultramarathon seems a bit passé. But Is it a linear progression, or do you find that different things challenge you in different ways as you go along your endurance journey?
Yes, there's different ladders to climb. There's absolutely loads of different ladders to climb. You could just change sport, for example, and then that might all of a sudden that throws in a whole new realm of difficulty. Because if I said
cheese rolling, for example,
cheese roller, yeah, there we go. If I said, what's harder, rowing the Atlantic or doing 105 Ironmans in a row? I can categorically tell you 105 Ironmans is harder than rowing the Atlantic. However, rowing the Atlantic for me would be difficult, would be really difficult. So that actually excites me. So the idea, and actually today, a boat came up for sale, a rowing boat, a solo rowing boat, quite a modern one, a bit lower profile, so you don't get the wind as much. I was like, oh, that is tempting. I actually mentioned it to Caroline literally about half an hour ago because it's just popped up on Instagram. And
did you just slap the phone out of your hand?
No, she loves it. No, she knows I'm a better husband when I do these things. So she's amazing. She's super encouraging. So she's like, yeah, well, why not? But then the reason I don't want to do it is because it's in my diary already now for December, might be November 2035. Me and Caroline and my two boys, we're all going to row the Atlantic. So it's already in the diary. Like, it's booked. I just need to, soon I'll need to start saving for the boat, but I'll think about that later. So that's probably the only reason. But anyway, it doesn't have to be always harder. I've never run a 200 miler, and there's a famous one in the UK called the Tunnel. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's the 200-mile run in the 1 mile tunnel, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right. That is really difficult for me because I've never done it before. So that also excites me. So back to your question is, there's different ladders. You might get to the top of one ladder, and then you go back down. You find another ladder that's difficult to climb, and you work your way up that one, or you change sports or something. So, yeah, that's sort of how I approach, whether I do, whether I do one of the big things. There's some smaller ones where I look at them and I go, right, that is totally achievable. But maybe no one thought of it before. So I'm going to do it, and hopefully that'll encourage people to go off and do it. So the 496 challenge is a great example of that. The 496 is I came up with it during lockdown. You run the day of the month. Most people do it in January in the UK because it's a month where most people have the whole month available for it. You run the day of the month kilometers. So day 1st of Jan, you don't have to in January, but 1st of Jan, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 2nd of Jan, 3 kilometers, all the way to 31 kilometers at the end. When I went into that, did I think I would make it? Yes, I was pretty confident I'd make it. I'd done a lot of running. I felt pretty good. 31K isn't particularly long for me, even on the back of a 30K before. However, I knew it would be a cool thing to do to try and put out into the world to get more people just thinking of doing something difficult. And it's been amazing. Like the 496, people do it every month of the year with 31 days. There's medals you can buy. I just make them cost price on my website and everything. And it's great. There's this big community of people who've done the 496 because it is actually really difficult. Only 10% of people finish it who start. So it's a really difficult challenge for people. So it's people who've done, if any of you listening have done the 496, you should be really proud because only 10% of people finish it who start it. So there's lots of those type of challenges, which I choose to do in order to really, and if I'm honest, it's an ego thing for me. I get a massive kick out of it, putting it out there into the world and then seeing loads of other people go and smash it, which is brilliant. And now I've also launched the 496 swim and run and cycle. Oh. The cycle is also 1 kilometer increments because I wanted to increase the success rate of people doing it. So, so people who maybe can't run, maybe are injured, it's still quite a good challenge to do, 1K, 2K, up to 31K on the bike. And then the swim is in 100-meter increments. And then 1 month, at some point in the future, I'm going to do all three in the month. Oh. So on day 1, 1K run, 1K bike, 100-meter swim. Day 31, 31K run, 31K bike, 3.1K swim. So watch this space.
That's cool. I'm curious, you kind of touched on it before, and it's something that most people butt up against when it's choosing a hard endurance challenge, is the fear of failure. So how have you managed to make the fear of failure appealing?
So the first part to that question is I have zero fear of failure. To my detriment sometimes, if I'm honest, because I'd rather fail at trying something difficult than succeed at something I knew I could do. So I often try things a little bit out of my comfort, probably a little bit too far, and maybe I'm not quite conditioned enough, or I just don't have the power or don't have the speed, because some records, you've got to keep a pace to avoid time cutoff. So like the Ironmans, for example, was a good example of that. You've got a calendar day to do an Ironman, but you've got 17 hours to complete it once you start the swim. So it's 5 a.m. swim start, 10 p.m. finish. If you 1 minute past 10, that's it. It's black and white. It's not an averaging record for the Ironman. So there's an element of speed that you've got to get into there. And I learned that from my mistakes in photography, because what happened in the photography is, and this is something I really try and hammer home to people, is don't lower your ambition just to increase your chances of succeeding at something. And I know it works for some people, because some people really like the small wins. So if someone's like, oh, a marathon, it's too difficult, let me try a 5K. I get it. I sort of get it, because you can get that win of doing the 5K, and then with that confidence, you can go, oh, yeah, maybe a 10K now. The problem is you might stop at the 5K and never get to the marathon. And then 10 years later, you'd be like, man, I was way fitter back then. Because the one thing is, I'm jumping around here, but doing these long challenges, for most people in the world, it gets harder to do as you get older. From just time until your kids leave home, then it gets easier. And you can see that by all the times in marathons, and the sort of the 55 to 60-year-olds are smashing it because their kids have left home, and it does get harder. So I'm a big believer of, if you think you want to run a marathon, sign up to an ultra in 2 years' time. Sign up to an ultra, a 50K, which is your minimum ultra. Sign up to because what you'll do is you'll end up running the marathon anyway in preparation for that ultra. And you'll far surpass it. If you want to do couch to 5K, sign up for a 10K in a year's time and pay the money and buy the, I'm not a big fan of all the fancy kit in the world, but there's something to say that if you spend £250 on a pair of trainers, you're probably going to use them. So, although, I'm contradicting myself. I hate expensive outdoor kit and sports kit. I think you can get to 98% of the way on anything. But anyway, but if you invest, if you've got skin in the game, is basically what I'm trying to say. You will definitely surpass where you sort of wanted to get. Definitely.
It's an interesting point that you make about kit. We've been talking about this. There's a third host of Digits Radio. He's not around today, but we often have that discussion around like how much gear is too much gear, and there would be a reasonable argument that if you were setting some record, that a massive audacious goal, that having every kind of advantage available, and not in sort of making it easier, would make it in some way less arduous. What's been your philosophy around that? Is it just expense, or what's the driver of that?
So depending on the record, if there's a time element to it. So if you're doing like a world's first or a world's longest. So when I did my world's longest continuous triathlon, I used a bamboo bicycle, for example, with 6 gears, and had to push it up the hills if it was above 10%. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to show people that actually you can still go and do a big, long adventure on very minimal kit. You want to cycle around the world, you could really just do it on a very cheap bicycle. You want to run across country, So Dan Lawson, he broke the Land's End to John O'Groats running
He's
record on secondhand trainers that he stitched up himself. So there is he is also a phenomenal runner, right? I think some people might get injured, but yes. So, but if there's a speed element, I think you should be looking for all those marginal gains, if I'm honest. But be quite realistic on whether the tripling the price is actually going to give you a gain. So do you need £250 pair of trainers? Will it actually help you when you're running 7 minutes? If you're running the length of Britain and you want to get the record, you're probably running 6-minute Ks, 7-minute Ks, but you're just doing it all day. Are very, very expensive trainers going to help you? Probably not. They're going to fatigue quickly, for example. You'd have to go through tons of them. And then on a bike thing, really, do you need to spend 12 grand on that bicycle? I would say not, unless, even in the Tour de France, Tadej Pogacar, he won a stage, a hill, one of the first hilly-ish stages, wasn't in the Alps or anything. He did it on his aero bike. And I was like, what? It's kg heavier or something. But again, he's an outlier, so it's very difficult. But no, I think it depends on the margins you need to get. If it's the margins are down in the 1%, yeah, you're going to have to start looking at kit maybe a little bit more seriously. But I wouldn't. I'm just hesitant to say go and buy all the best kit, because it might not actually help you, because actually the marginal gains you might need to be focusing on are the other 10.5 pillars. In endurance, I have these 10.5 pillars, and if you do all 10.5, you pretty much will win. As long as you do them better than the other person, right? And equipment is one of those pillars. Equipment is one of those pillars, but all the other pillars are experience, fitness and conditioning, sleep, recovery, muscle management, mindset and motivation, community, luck is the 0.5, planning. There's a whole array of other pillars, and equipment's only one of them. So you maybe could be focusing on all the other ones instead, and that would probably do you better. And then right at the end, if your gains still aren't quite there, maybe then look at equipment. But certainly I would look at all the other 10.5 pillars first. Which, if anyone wants to look at those 10.5, you just go to SeanConway.com. You can look at all of them there. It's sort of a free thing for you to look at. So so there, that's my take on equipment. My shoes, I run shoes my current trainers, although I have just got a new pair, but the pair before these ones, I think I'm probably putting 1,000 on a pair of shoes, I would say.
Love to hear it.
Am I getting slightly more fatigued? Probably, but I'm not running every day. And by the time I put them on again in a couple of days for another long run, they're fine. I'm fine. So, yeah. Don't. But then I'm going to go back to the thing. If it makes you get out of bed and train, buy the 250 quid pair of trainers.
You've mentioned family. You've got 2 sons and Caroline, you've got a wife, partner. How do your sons kind of make sense, or have you noticed their life is normal, right? All of our family lives are normal in their own context. Have you had any sort of experiences where they've gone to a birthday party, or they've said to the teacher has said, what did your my dad ran around Wales, and the teacher goes, no, he didn't, or stop telling stories. Are they noticing that there is that sort of sense of the extraordinary in their life, and how do they how do you guys cope with that?
Yeah, they're too young. They're too young, to be honest. My eldest is 6, my youngest is 3. They're starting. So the eldest, especially, he's starting to ask questions when people ask for selfies. So that's sort of now suddenly making him realize, oh, Daddy's done something, that because people come it doesn't happen often, and it's very lovely when people do, but probably once a day someone will come and say, "Oh, Sean, I've been following you. That's brilliant. Can I get a selfie?" And my eldest is now starting to work out that that thing I did a couple of years ago where I was away for 105 days was something quite big and important that people want to come and meet me now. So he's starting to work it out. They both know my job is exercising. So if you ask them what's Daddy's job, they're like exercising. So that's pretty much as it is. You know, they have no clue. You know, I've written 8 books and they're in the downstairs toilet in my house, and they don't care about that yet. You know, but yeah, no, they're getting there slowly, and I hope I haven't ruined it for them, like sport, because I think if they read any of my books, it's going to put them off sport. So I'm going to have to navigate that one at some point. But no, they're adventurous. We live a pretty adventurous life without being over the top and, you know, trying to be to put them and make them hate it. Basically, I'm not one of these sort of park run on Sundays. Come on, go quicker. You know, I just let them enjoy it. You know, because I didn't really do sport until I was 30. So I'm not going to try and force it down their throat when they're 6 years old. You know. I just hope they do. I really hope. I'd actually love them to do sport as a career, which is quite rare for sportsmen and women to want that for their kids. Very few of my friends who do sport for a career want that for their kids, and I don't understand it. I think it's a brilliant career. You know, if you're doing well, it's brilliant. Of course, you know, if you're not doing well, it's you're skint half the time living in a camper van. But I think that's great as well. I think even the downside's brilliant. And yeah, so we'll see. Watch your space. You know, it'd be great if either of them broke one of my records one day, or broke. You know, the record itself will have been broken by someone else, but took it off me. You know, did 106 Ironmans.
It's really neat. I'm curious how that looks for you, like, because, you know, it is such a balance and juggle trying to encourage kids into the outdoors. So what does it look like for your young family?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest struggle in Wales is just the weather. That's the thing we've struggled the most with, trying to get our boys sort of just outside, sort of that where there's no sport base, just to like go outside, because they're like, it's freezing cold, it's raining, it's just miserable, right? If you throw sport in the mix, then they're super excited. So if we say, oh, let's just go out down to the park, you know, on a February day, they're like, oh, I really don't want to do that, Dad. But if you say, right, let's go ride our bicycles somewhere exciting, then they seem to be excited about that. So the one thing I've learned to sort of add a sort of slight adventure sort of angle to it, maybe a sort of mini challenge, make a game out of it. That then changes their perspective on what it's like being cold, wet, miserable. Because, you know, for example, we decided to do our first ever bike packing trip with the boys. So Caroline and I had mountain bikes. We had a double chariot attached to each mountain bike. And then I put a bike rack for their bikes on the back of the chariot. And we did the Great Glen Way, 55 kilometers over 4 days, 3 nights. They could cycle when they wanted to. They could jump in the chariot whenever they wanted to. And on day one, Caroline and I, we turned up down in Fort William, and it was freezing cold, and it was raining, and it was windy. And we were like, honestly, we're going to do 5K, and they're just going to be horrible. And so we were looking at hotels. We're like, you know what? We're just going to bail on it. If they're really having a bad time, we're going to bail on the whole thing, and we're just going to go to a hotel with a swimming pool and a slide. Job done. Change of plan, abort, whatever. We just don't want them. And the midgies were out as well, right? And then, you know what? They just cracked on, because it was an adventure. We were going from A to B. It was different, and it was flat. There was a few hills on day 2, and then they jumped in the chariot when they couldn't go up the hills, and then they jumped back on to go down the hills. And I would say they probably did 35K of the 55 over 4 days. So they were doing just under 10K a day, and it was amazing. Even the 3-year-old, he was smashing it. I was so proud of him. So, you know, by making it adventurous, by adding a little challenge towards it, then kids are super resilient. Oh, and the worst thing is, we forgot their gloves. So, I mean, we're talking, it was like 4 or 5 degrees in the day. Luckily, we had a tailwind, so all the rain was hitting us on the back of the head, so we didn't get it in the face. But Caroline and I had gloves, but we were like, we can't wear gloves. They're not got gloves, so we can't wear gloves. And they totally nailed it. And we were so impressed. Bearing in mind, we just totally thought we were going to have to abort on the whole thing. But yeah, kids are way more resilient than I think grown-ups give them credit for. Kids will also just do what they think's normal. And if you just jump on a bike in the pouring rain and you go for a little adventure, if that's normal, they'll totally just get used to it. So that's how we're navigating it at the moment. We're young. We're lucky because the kids are young. We haven't, and there'll be a lot of parents out there who have slightly older kids, and once their social circles get together, and once kids start getting phones, which we're nowhere near that yet. Luckily, I don't know what it's going to be like. So yeah, we'll do another podcast in 5 years' time when when things have changed and everyone's on AI and wearing virtual reality headsets, cycling. Oh, I've climbed Everest VR. It's just the same, isn't it? No, it's not.
I'm hopeful that doesn't happen. I think that I mean, there's been some forays, and I mean, not to turn this into like a tech podcast, but like the enhanced glasses and stuff like that. And we all grew up in that era where, that looked pretty flash in a movie, Mission Impossible or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that everyone that they've tried, everyone's just gone, really?
Yeah.
I'd like to think there are some guardrails. Guardrails there.
I think we all innately want to spend time outside. I think we do. I think there's a lot more distractions to make you not go outside, but there's very few people go outside and come back and go, oh, that was rubbish. I wish I didn't do it. Right. I mean, COVID was a good example. When they opened lockdown, the outdoors was inundated. More people bought bicycles, more people bought hiking shoes. The downside is they had to restrict access to parks because people were littering and that sort of thing, which was a shame. But I think people want to spend more time outside. I do a lot of public speaking, and it's, a lot of these conferences I go and talk at, it's all like AI this, AI that, AI this. And actually my talk is like anti-AI. It's like AI will never do an Ironman. So, that's my take on it. Not that we all use it, right, to check our spelling and that sort of thing. And some people probably use it more, and it's very clever. But it still can't do an Ironman. It still can't climb a mountain. I don't care who you are, what VR headset you have, what adding sort of a body sensor and smell. It's not going to be the same. It'll never be the same. I'm sorry. And if you're out there and you're developing this, shame on you, because you shouldn't. Because, just people will climb mountains, I think.
Well, look, why don't I mean, you've kind of teased this. You talked about, you're in France, you're doing some heat training or heat acclimatization. Now, that would indicate that you've got something on the boil, excuse the pun. Can you share with us what you got planned next?
It's top secret.
Ooh, right.
It's big. Do I really need to do heat training? Probably not right now. However, it's just good. It's good for me to do. It's good. It keeps me. I have quite a wide threshold for temperature, and I want to keep it that way. I'm really good in the heat. I might not perform so well, but everyone else is not performing well either. But mentally, I'm amazing. Like, you can give me anything up to about 45 degrees, maybe even probably 45. Above that, then I really need to be quite serious and think about my health, as should everyone. Once you start getting above 40, really, you're getting into a whole different element of physical risk. But mentally, I feel great, and I'm the same in the cold. I don't mind if it's cold. Again, I probably won't perform as well, but mentally, I'm quite good, and I'd hate to lose that. So, at least once a year, try and come down and do something in the heat. It's 35 degrees in the day here. Go for a run, go for a ride. And then because I get enough of the cold stuff in Wales, so it's although it's actually 30 degrees in Wales now apparently.
What?
I know, it's typical. I could have just stayed home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but my next big thing is it's very big. It's very, very big. I can't say anything, but it's very long. Longest thing I've done, distance wise, time wise, and everything. So, I probably said too much already.
That's terrifying.
I'm going to get in trouble. My agent's going to listen to this and go, Sean. But no, it's going to be a good one. Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm wondering, and that maybe this is part of it since you've alluded it to being so long, but people describe New Zealand as being the adventure capital of the world. When will we see you tackle something in our neck of the woods? Is it 24 hours of bungee jumping? Or?
Yeah, I'd love to. My wife lived in New Zealand for a couple of years. A friend of mine's run the length of New Zealand.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, Anna McNuff. So you should get her on the podcast. So I'd love to do something there. Yeah, I'd love to. The records are quite hard. Is it the Tararoa? What's the
Te Araroa? Yeah.
Te Araroa. I don't know how to say it, but it's 2,000 miles, right? I think my Emma Timmis did it in 20 days. I think, and I don't know what the record is, but
so she ran the road. So Emma did the road,
okay.
and Karel Sabe just absolutely demolished the record. What did he do it in, Ali? Was it like
I can't
even remember. It was ridiculous.
A lot faster than it had been.
Yeah. So he did the support. So Karel Sabe, he did the
actual
he did
trail.
the supported Te Araroa. Yeah. I'll just look that up. 2 seconds, caller. I'll use AI to do it as well.
Yeah. I mean, once you start hitting the sort of 110K a day records, yeah, they become just a very different animal from injury. So I would really need to up my game on the running for those multi-day things. I was getting to an 80K a day guy like a couple of years ago before the Ironmans really, and I really was trying to push it to be like a get out of bed and run 100K without having to think about it. And I got to 80K, and I was really happy with that. I was like, any day if someone said run 80K tomorrow, Sean, I could be like, okay, right, let's just go. I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't have to plan. I wouldn't have to detrain or take. I could just do it. And I was really happy with that. And then I got a couple of injuries in the Ironmans, and that sort of put me off the ball a little bit. So I'm probably back at like 50 or 60 now. Although actually I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. But yeah, my goal would be to sort of be a sort of 100K, don't have to think about it person. So is there a cycle? There must be a cycle record as well. That'll be pretty fast. 2,000 miles. That'd be under 10 days, I presume. Yeah, that'd be probably a week. Yeah, because you should be doing.
That would be the road, and that's the thing with Te Araroa. And that was originally conceived as a cycling trail, wasn't it, Ali?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, but there's some pretty difficult, the Tararoa ranges and some of the parts in the South Island. You wouldn't be wanting to rip around on a bike up there.
No, but even just the length of New Zealand, bottom to top or top to bottom as a cycling record, if that is 2,000 miles-ish. No, 2,000 kilometers, sorry. Is that right?
Who knows?
Anyway,
it's too early.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably should know the length of our own country.
Back to the question. Yeah, I mean, Caroline, she would move back to New Zealand tomorrow if she could. She loved it there. So yeah, I think our boys are a bit too young to sort of appreciate it. I think, give it a few more years and we'll bring the whole family out for sure.
On that, I mean, again, community focus on the outdoors, adventure. Tell us about your involvement with the scouting movement. How did that come about?
Well, my great uncle, I don't know how many greats, was actually friends with Baden Powell, who founded the Scouts in South Africa. They were both stationed in South Africa in the late 1800s. And then when they came back to England, Baden-Powell was like, man, those African kids, they're just amazing at lighting fires and building a camp, and they could just, I wish British kids could do all this outdoor stuff. So he, Baden-Powell, as we all know, founded the Scouts, and my great-great-uncle sort of was in the mix with just helping him out, as the grapevine, as the family have been told down the line, and Wikipedia has told me that now as well. But yeah, so I've grown up my whole life having this real family connection to the Scouts. And he actually started one of the first Scout groups in Kent in 1907. So really one of the early ones. So yeah, I've always just wanted to sort of be involved with the Scouts. So I've been messaging them for ages over the years, sort of being involved sort of up until last year as a non-official ambassador, just getting involved as much as I can. And then became an official ambassador last year. So it's great. I love it. I'm just, my sort of legacy, if I'm hoping to build a legacy of anything, it's going to getting more kids doing sport and spending more time outside. So that's going to be my focus, my life focus, really, starting now. Even I have the Sean Conway Academy, just trying to get more kids doing sport. But really, once my body's taken all it can take in about, how old am I? I'm 44. I got another 6 years till I'm 50, and then I'll probably be right. I just body says no, right? Then I'll be full-time youth sport. Which I'm super excited about.
I think you're selling yourself a bit short there. I wonder if you'll find another gear as you hit your kind of your true middle age.
No, I will. Look, I'll still do the things, 100%. I'm still going to be doing the things. I just might not be able to break all the hard records anymore. That's sort of what I was talking about, because I'll just biologically time out, like all sportsmen and women, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. And I might not, I'm still going to go and run 200 miles in a 1 mile tunnel, and I'll still do all the hard stuff. Whether I'll win again at 50, probably not. I need to be realistic, although there could be the oldest. Maybe I'll be the oldest person to do something out of it. Although it's pretty, some of the running records are super impressive, like the oldest person to run a marathon was 114 or something. So yeah, I'm not living that long. Definitely not. So yeah, we'll see. I'll find something, but it just might not be record breaking by then,
We will see. Doing so many next level adventures, it must take a healthy dose of confidence. How do you foster that?
So naivety is one of them. Just be naive to it and just crack on. But also, I mean, that's sort of the jokey answer. The real answer is you tick all the 10.5 pillars. You go into something and you write down all the things that could end the challenge for you, and you try and optimize each one of those. And by doing each one of those, you gain confidence and you go into it. So, do I think on day one of 105 Ironmans, did I think and truly believe I was going to break the record? 100%. In my head, heart. I even printed numbers up to 123 because I knew I was going to smash through it and go on and break the record, right? Why did I believe that? I had to. You can't have any doubt in your mind. The reality was, no, it still had about a 90% chance of failure because of injury, condition, timing, if I was too slow, getting ill, getting run over. There's a whole lot of reasons why I could have sort of not completed that record, right? But you've just got to believe. And by doing more of it and writing down all the things you need to focus on, and for me, it's the 10.5 pillars. And for you, it might be, if it's sport related, that it is the 10.5 pillars. It's 100%. That covers literally everything from planning, experience, fitness, nutrition, hydration, sleep, muscle management, community, mindset, luck is in there. But if you've got a different challenge in life, it might not be sport, whatever it is, write down all the non-negotiables that you need to achieve every single day, or every session, or every time you want to make progress. You focus on all of those. So I'm weirdly, I'm sort of a bit all over the show sometimes. I told you I'm this monkey and this terrier. The monkey in me, if you met me in monkey mode, you'd be like, what? He's the only person in the world with the Grand Slam of endurance? No way, that's impossible. It just makes no sense, right? If you meet me in terrier mode, you'll be like, I get it now. I'm just hyper-focused. I micro analyze my performance down to my heart rate, down to everything, and be like, right, why am I doing well today? Why am I not doing well today? And I try and really just dial all of those 10.5 pillars constantly, like every 15 minutes. And when I was doing the Ironmans, I'd be looking at my watch every 10, 15 minutes, and I'd be like, right, okay, well, I'm a bit ahead today. Right, why am I ahead? And I'm reverse engineering. I'm like, well, last night I had 10 more minutes sleep, and I had a massage, and I had an ice bath. Could it have been that? I had this many calories. It could have been that. I have friends I'm running with. Could be that, you know. So, and community is one of the 10.5 pillars. So, yeah, if that's where the confidence comes from, you know, it comes from experience. It comes from working out your controllables. You know, there's some things you can't control, like the weather, for example, but maybe you can control it. And actually, on my Ironmans, I had loops. And sometimes it was better to do the loops clockwise, and sometimes it was better to do the loops anti-clockwise, depending on wind direction, right? So you're doing all those calculations all the time. And weirdly, that also, by doing those calculations, gets you out of potentially getting into a spiral, a negative mindset spiral. Because if you start getting into a negative mindset spiral, you will perform worse. Biologically, you'll perform worse, right? And an example of this, you can all try it. Run one day, go for a run with some really depressing music that you don't like. Really slow, and it just puts you in a bad mood. You know, and then the next day, run with music that really you like, and it puts you in a good mood. You'll perform better. And that's because you are in a different mindset for each one, right? And the problem is, if you get in a different mindset, you'll perform worse. And then because you're on the back foot, you'll maybe get less sleep. And then the next day, you'll perform even worse. And then it's just, and then eventually you time out. So the trick is to try and not get into that, right? And for me, focusing on the 10.5 pillars kind of keeps my brain busy. You know, it gives me something to think about. I forget about the knee pain. I forget about the hips, forget about the ankle, I forget about the low back. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm like clawing back those 2 or 3 minutes that I'd lost because of XYZ, which I've hopefully tried to work out. So, yeah, that's where for me the positivity comes from. But I'm not just a glass half full all the time guy, because I think if you just be like, oh yeah, it's fine, this is great, I think you might miss things, and then you'll pay for it later on. So I'm very, you know, there's times where I'll look very grumpy and I'll look very down, but I'm actually just calculating things in my head. I'm like, right, okay, things aren't going well. And it'll come across as if I'm being sort of down and negative, but actually I'm just processing things. And it's important for me to do that. And it's important for me to work on it. And then I'll come out and I'll either improve my situation or it won't improve. If it doesn't improve, I'll then go back and go, right, come on, I just need to work this out until something improves. And it often does, but sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes the weather gets worse, or that knee niggle gets worse, or you roll an ankle. So you've just constantly got to do that. And that comes with experience. I'm 44 now. The first big thing I did was, I cycled Lanzarote John Groats when I was 28, but very slowly, only like 30 miles a day. But yeah, I was 30. So for 14 years now, I've been honing these processes and working them out in my head and reverse engineering them afterwards, which isn't always good because sometimes you actually forget why you did well. And at the end, you think, oh, well, it actually was that, but it might not have been. But over time, you build up this database of experience, really, which again is one of the pillars is experience. So, which is why older people generally are better at the long stuff experience counts for a lot, really.
And one thing you have experience with is obviously those records. And with that comes that kind of public focus and naysaying and analysis of what people have done. Like we just had recently, I don't know, I'm sure you probably were across it. given
William
it's your space,
Googe.
but hey, look, I don't even need to say the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that kind of situation, like what's your take on that? Because you must have experienced it too. So can you talk us through that side of things?
So interestingly, I've never experienced it.
Okay.
Because I felt bad for it. So firstly, I've never experienced it because I put all my data out there and I triple check it. And I have, on the Ironmans, I ran 3 Garmins. I used the same power meters so every day I had to swap the power meter from one bike because I had 2 bikes on rotation because the bike would land up at a different spot to the run. And then I just needed 2 bikes. And that was actually a logistical issue. I had to remove the power meters from the bike and make sure they landed up at the pool at 5 a.m. the following day to go on the next bike, right? But that was just part of it. So I hammered home my data. And also there was all the big hard stuff where data's been super important. I've mostly had loads of people with me. So there's never been a question. On William's stuff, I felt really bad because his heart rate data was real. It was legit. Like those low heart rates at that pace, it's pretty normal when you're that fatigued. You genuinely actually can't raise your heart rate higher. If you looked at my Ironman heart rate, I was doing an Ironman at 105, 110 heart rate. Because when you just get into that sort of zone, your heart rate just doesn't go high. So I felt bad for him, because that was, unless there was another thing that people were questioning, but I thought it was the heart rate thing. But I think it's your responsibility as an athlete now to put everything out there all the time. I think, there was a while where none of the pros would go on Strava because they were like, I don't want everyone else looking at my data. But now it's pretty normal. You go, and it's great to see, when I did Mont Ventoux, I'm not a good climber. It took me 1 hour 57. So, I went straight on Strava and it was like, who's got the KOM? Obviously it's Tadej Pogacar at 54 minutes. He did it over an hour quicker than me. And he was like 400 watts. It was incredible. It was great to see, So I think now there's sort of no excuse really for anyone to be doing anything without every single available bit of data that you can collect, because also it's interesting. It's really interesting. One of my regrets from my Ironmans is I had a sleep tracker. I used a Whoop for the first few days, but on day 3 I was waking up with like a 2% recovery score, and I was like, I just do not need to see those sort of numbers. It's not helping me. I just don't want to see how bad I am. Because my sleeping heart rate for that first week. My average sleeping heart rate, which now is in the late 30s, early 40s, was 89 average.
Ooh,
so
right.
My body was taking such a hammering. And I sort of regret. So anyway, after 3 days, I'm throwing the stupid sleep tracker away. I don't want to see those sort of numbers. And I regret it now. I would have loved to have seen that data. But at the time, I was just so mentally fatigued. I just needed to mindset is one of the 10.5 pillars, and it just wasn't doing me any favors. I should have just kept wearing it and just not looked at it. But the micro manager, the micro analyzer in me, the terrier, it would have been impossible for me to wear it and not look at the data. I wish I'd kept that, but never mind. But I think everyone just needs to put it out there. And I think everyone does. I think everyone does now, because the internet is your biggest critic. And I think it's great that you put it out there and everyone has access to that. And it'll be cool to look at one day, in 10 years time, one of my boys is going to be like, I want to do an Ironman, Dad. I'm like, let's look at your data. It's going to be great. Yeah. So yeah. No, I've said I've been lucky. I've not had any people question anything that I've done because again, mostly I've done stuff in Britain. Almost all my records have been done in Britain, which have been live tracked, and people have come and found me. You know, it's a very populated island that we live on. So yeah, I've not been at. I think maybe had I run across a desert somewhere, don't know, I would have had a pretty low heart rate as well. I think because even now, if I'm doing 7-minute Ks, yeah, my heart rate's at 100 probably. Even now, and I'm actually not that run fit at the moment because I've had an injury for the last couple of years, so I'm really actually sort of probably have a higher heart rate and probably would even go lower than that. I think if I got really, really, really fit. So yeah, no, I think it's good. I think cheats get caught nowadays. I think it's very hard to fake. If you've got a live tracker and you've got all your heart rate and power and everything, it's difficult to cheat that now, which is good. It needs to be that because there have been some people who've been dishonest, haven't there? Which is a shame.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, I'll be honest, I think William Googe got a lot of naysaying because, and the more I've thought about it, like, he's kind of hot, well, he's very hot, and he smokes ciggies every day.
He smokes, he drinks a beer, yeah.
And I think people, I'm like, and again, you go back to the Tour de France when they were all doing coke and just drinking Calvados every day and they were wearing wool suits and mainly just doing cocaine and riding 400-pound steel fixies, you know.
Yeah.
Or you think about like your great uncle and, you know, Baden Powell and the average alcohol intake of someone in that time, you know, these are great adventurers. Mm. It's that thing, isn't it? Like, and I'm not suggesting that smashing durries and, you know, chopping some beers at the end of every kind of 100K run is a useful thing. But it might be for you if that's your thing. Maybe that's a record you could set. But or someone. But it's that thing, it didn't sort of fit with that concept, that very narrow conceptualization of I guess what a runner is. And that's I felt there was a bit of kind of almost jealousy there, which I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, he also, because it's not the first time, when he ran across America to be the fastest Brit to run across America, there was a guy who flew out to stalk him to prove he wasn't doing it. And then after like a week was like, oh yeah, he's actually doing it. So yeah.
That really gets into your you should go outside more kind of thing, doesn't it? And it's ironic that the guy went to America to stalk him. So he technically did go outside, but
yeah. No, but you know what? The world needs people like him because he's, you know, people have cheated, you know, people.
Yes, you're right.
The Lancet John O'Groats running record, you know, that's the one on the Guinness one. Is questionable, you know, like even Dan Lawson couldn't break it, which, you know, on paper it's 9 days and something, you know, whatever. And people are now like, well, you know, did that really happen? There was no data back then. It was done in the 80s or 90s, I think. And that's a shame because, you know, no one really knows whether that record was done legitimately back then because, you know, you didn't need all the data. Back, you know, the Guinness rules, even when I cycled around the world in 2013, you just had to prove you'd done the distance. So you could have two bike computers on your bike, and you had to get written signatures and photos from around the world. So you could have had a camper van and spun the wheel, had a machine that span your wheel for you and got out and taken pictures, which is what people have done who've tried to cheat some of these running and cycling records, especially the running ones. They have just unfortunately gone in a camper van and who was that? Who's the guy who did the Britain one?
Oh,
Max,
King?
Max Voss or something? It was 10 years ago now. Since he did it in 7 days. You're like, what?
Is your stride length really 200 meters?
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, but no. So people need the world needs someone to spend £1,000 on a flight to fly from Scotland to America to make sure someone's not cheating The world needs them. I'm not going to do it, but we need people out there to catch the people who do cheat. So, good on them.
I love that he came to the conclusion that actually, you're doing it legitimately, and I'm still annoyed at you.
Yeah,
I'm still annoyed at you, and you're doing it legitimately. Look, Sean, you've been so generous with your time, and it's been truly informative and really incredible to sort of peek behind the curtain into what makes you tick and what makes you what excites you, what fires you up for these truly incredible adventures. But I just wanted to ask you the one question we ask everyone who comes on Dirt Church Radio, and that's, Sean Conway, what's been your greatest run ever?
I'm probably going to say my Length of Britain run. It was probably, of all the things I've done, the least noteworthy one. I averaged less than a marathon a day. It took me 44 days. But it's sort of, again, whenever you do something, especially in the country you live in, everyone can get a bit jaded about where they live. Everyone moans about something, right? Like, oh, the weather's too rubbish, or the people, blah, blah, blah. But when you go off and do something like that, when I ran the Length of Britain, it just sort of restores your faith in humanity. People were giving me meals and places to stay and just stopping on the side of the road for a chat because they just saw some hairy ginger bloke, a bit grubby and smelly, running along with a backpack. I think that'd be it. I think it was just over 1,000 miles, 44 days, nothing groundbreaking, but I loved every moment of that.
Excellent. Well, look, Sean, thank you so much for coming on Dirt Church Radio. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure, we will wait with bated breath for the announcement of your next big thing when you let that out into the world, and enjoy the rest of your time in France.
Thanks, I will do. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, super excited, and come to Wales. Come to Wales. There's sheep as well. We have sheep too, so you'll feel at home.
How it's rowing the Atlantic as a family.
I'd say just don't dare this guy to anything. Just don't be that person. Don't say, hey, I got an idea, mate.
I know the kid's like, no, Dad.
I just imagine
the
like,
Atlantic.
yeah, my kids is like, a 21-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old. I wouldn't get them out bloody, out the inlet out there. They'd be whining about something. But I guess, probably different
strokes for different folks.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. It's totally it is inspirational when you're hanging out with someone who's just done so much stuff and continues to. And I liked what he said too I liked his thing about gear, harking back to last week. You don't have to have the best gear, you just have to get out and kind of give things a shot. So yeah, fantastic.
I just like the sense of fun, turning things into an adventure, a challenge, like the one where he ran from Sean to Conway, or I can't remember if it was a run or what it was, but I thought, we can create our own fun little adventures or big adventures, just bring a bit of novelty to things again.
Absolutely. There's too much non-whimsy in the world, but look.
Too much non-whimsy.
God damn it.
I love that. That's great.
Absolutely. And I love you guys, and I love the listeners. Dirt Church Radio is presented by me, Matt Rayment.
Me, Ali Pottinger.
And me, Andrew McDowell.
We're on all the podcast platforms, so like, follow, and give us a rating. It helps.
We're on social media at Dirt Church Radio, email at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com.
Now, don't forget to sign up to our Substack for a weekly newsletter and aid station podcast.
And don't forget to write in with your greatest run ever. We'd love to hear from you, and you can read them on the website too.
And thanks to our supporters, Further Faster, That's It, Squadron, and our Substack subscribers and the DCR aid station crew.
Stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks when we have another great guest lined up.
Mā te wā.